If you've been scrolling through a dozen tiny mill listings, watching video after video of people bragging about the perfect hobby mill, and still feel stuck on which one actually fits your bench, you're not alone. The biggest fear is ending up with a machine that looks great on paper but can't hold a steady cut when you need it, or one that eats your budget while you only use it a few times a year. This review is meant to cut through the hype and let you decide if the Proxxon Micromot FF230 Precision Miller really earns its price tag. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of work the Micromot FF230 is built for. It's a compact, benchtop mill designed for model makers, hobbyist jewelers, and anyone who needs to shape small metal or plastic parts with a high degree of control. The machine's footprint is roughly the size of a small desktop printer, so it slides onto a sturdy workbench without demanding a dedicated floor space. That's a big win if you're working out of a garage or a cramped hobby room. What sets it apart from the generic mini-mill crowd is the 360-degree rotating drill head. You can set the head to any angle, lock it, and the built-in digital readout tells you exactly where you're at. For a hobbyist who often needs to mill a slot at a precise 45-degree angle, that visual feedback can save a lot of guesswork. The torque delivery is handled by a poly V-belt drive, which Proxxon claims gives you more punch in the low-speed range. In real-world use, that translates to smoother cuts when you're working with softer metals like aluminum or brass. I've seen users set the belt tension once and then run the mill for hours without the belt slipping, a common complaint on cheaper belt-driven machines. The low-speed side of the dial goes down to about 50 revolutions per minute, which is slow enough to let you take a light, steady pass on delicate pieces without tearing the material. That's the sweet spot for anyone who's ever tried to mill a tiny gear tooth and ended up with a ragged edge because the spindle was simply too fast. Now, who should actually consider buying this? If you're a serious scale model builder, a watchmaker's apprentice, or a small batch prototype creator who needs consistent, repeatable cuts on parts that are usually under 50 mm in diameter, the Micromot FF230 gives you a level of precision that a handheld rotary tool can't match. Its digital angle readout and the ability to lock the head in place mean you can set up a repeatable process for a batch of parts, which is a huge time saver compared with doing each piece by hand. The machine also shines when you need to do fine drilling combined with light milling. You can switch between the two without swapping tools, thanks to the interchangeable collet system that fits both drill bits and end mills. On the flip side, if you're looking for a workhorse that can chew through hardened steel or run long production runs, this isn't the right tool. The motor is modest enough for hobby-grade materials but not for anything that requires high cutting forces. The spindle speed range, while useful for fine work, caps out at around 2,500 revolutions per minute, which can feel limiting if you're accustomed to larger bench mills that push 5,000 revolutions per minute or more. Another practical consideration is the weight. At roughly 12 kilograms, it's light enough to move when you need to rearrange a bench, but it also means the base isn't as rock-solid as a cast-iron-filled unit. You'll want to make sure your bench is sturdy and, if possible, bolt the mill down to avoid any vibration when you push the feed lever. One hidden trade-off that shows up once you start using the Micromot FF230 is the need for a reliable power source. Because it's sold as an international product, the plug and voltage can differ from market to market. If you're ordering from outside Europe, you may need a plug adapter or a step-down transformer to match your local mains. That extra accessory isn't a huge expense, but it does add a small layer of setup you might not expect when you first unbox the mill. Let's walk through a typical day with this machine. You start by clamping a 30 mm brass blank onto the vise. The digital display reads the current angle 0 degrees because you're starting flat. You set the head to 30 degrees, lock it, and watch the readout confirm the change. You then engage the low-speed belt, feed the end mill in a slow, steady motion, and watch a clean, shallow groove appear exactly where you want it. No chatter, no missed cuts. After that, you swap to a 2 mm drill bit, use the same head position, and drill a precise hole right at the end of that groove. The transition is seamless because the spindle and head stay locked in the same orientation, which saves you the time and frustration of realigning the workpiece. In terms of maintenance, the Poly V-belt does need occasional checking for wear, especially if